Welcome to the Create Your Happy podcast, where conscious female creators come together with a shared vision to inspire and empower women as they learn how to fully embrace their humanness, find their unique voice, and collaborate on how together we can change the world. I'm your host, Christy Holt, happiness coach and conscious funpreneur on a mission to change the world one beautiful soul at a time. All right, gorgeous, it's time to get curious and become inspired. It's time to create your happy. Welcome to the show. I am so excited. Today I have Mieu Phan with us, and Mieu is a corporate trainer, speaker, author, workshop strategist, and most importantly, a mom and a wife. She supports entrepreneurs to find their voice and gain clients from speaking, and I am so excited, Mieu, to have you here to share with us a bit about what you're doing and how you're helping people, but more importantly, how you overcame whatever you have overcome in life to get you to this point, to be boldly going out there and helping other women to do the same thing. So I'd love for you to kick us off, share a little bit about your journey of overcoming, and we'll start there.
Well, thank you so much, Christy, for having me on. Oh, my journey of overcoming. Well, I don't know what to say. Do you want me to start from just a snippet of?
You start wherever you like, whatever feels right to you.
I'm going to take a little bit from my speech. What it is that when I started my entrepreneurship 20 years ago, I became a corporate trainer, and I was one of the players within 2 years. What I did was I became the go-to person who did the optimization of semiconductor chips, which is what we all have on our cell phones, our laptops, and sometimes in cars. So it's an expanding industry. I was a top player, commanded high prices, but it wasn't conducive to raising kids because I traveled a lot and I really wanted to have a family. So I decided, hey, I'm moving to a new city. I am going to try a new endeavor and I'll get a career that's local. So I became a realtor. Within 1 year, I actually became one of the top selling realtor in an office over 100 agents. So that means I was selling 4 to 5 homes per month, while the average realtor sells only 2. And that wasn't really conducive to raising a family either, because it's nights and weekends, and I'm like, that's it. So I kind of leaned back and said to myself, how am I going to live my life as a mother that I really want to be there for them. And I decided to be a stay-at-home mom, which was totally against what I thought I was going to do in my 20s. I thought I was going to be one of those working moms who's going to bring my kids to daycare and all that stuff. But it wasn't in my heart to do that. So I became a stay-at-home mom for 15 years. And when my youngest went went to school full time in kindergarten, I decided, okay, I need to redefine myself. I wanted to be more than a mom and a wife. And so I decided, well, I'm going to go into the coaching realm and, start a new career. Well, it didn't turn out the way I wanted. I had a complete mind-body shutdown. So the worst time was I was bedridden for 2 years. So what that would look like was 1 week out of every month, I was just literally in bed, only get up to bring my kids to school and pick them up and just make meals. That's it. And then the weeks that I wasn't in bed, I was actually able to clean 3 bathrooms the whole week. So it wasn't very capable. So I spent tens of thousands of dollars on doctor's visit, nutritions, all the stuff to help me heal my body. And then I created a long journey of healing myself from the inside out.
Yeah.
What had happened was, and I'm really glad that I went into the coaching realm and discovered I was carrying a lot of anger for decades, because my father had died when I was 2, and I was mad at him for dying and how dare he leave me. And I was mad at myself for not preventing it from happening, which I was only 2. And I carried on that anger for so many decades. And I know there were whispers in my head that said, hey, this looks like there's something that needs to be looked at. And I said to myself, no, I'll push it later. I'll deal with it later, because I was in a world of being committed to financial freedom. If anything didn't move me forward, I didn't care about it. So I didn't think about going back and taking care of my past and healing from it until my body said, it's time. No, this is center stage. And so for 6 years, I hadn't been able to do my taxes by myself. I've always done my taxes by myself. And I'm here in the US, so I know people are afraid of talking to the IRS. I have a great time with talking to the IRS. Call them.
Yeah.
Most of the times I'm like, thank you so much, I'm that type of person, but I wasn't cognizant for 6 years. And now that I'm more cognizant, I am coming to realize we had $25,000 stolen from us. And, it sounds like a lot of money, but in terms of FBI, there's bigger fish to fry. So they're not going to pursue that. So what I really encourage women is to really take care of themselves, because one of the things I really wish I knew growing up, or all these years, is to think that it's not worth the money if you can't enjoy it. And one of the things that I was never able to fulfill for myself was I want my commitment to myself and to my kids, which is unspoken, is that I want to be there for them. And for 6 years, I was there, but not really there. And I lost 6 important years. Now I have 2 kids who are in high school, and I have 1 in middle school. And I'm trying to catch up for the last 6 years, because
life is short, right? And sometimes we need sort of a dramatic shakeup for us to really stop and pay attention to how quickly life is passing us by, because we can get so easily distracted by the things that really the truth of it is those things don't really matter that much. What matters is us and taking care of us and the things that we love, and finding things that light us up and make us available to be present and enjoying every single day. Yes, of course, we have challenges along the way. It's not to say every moment's going to be hunky-dory and perfect, but we can still find the happiness, the joy, the peace within the moment, because most of the time, those things that are upsetting or challenging or struggles for us are actually just our mind telling us to worry about something in the future or replaying something in the past. And we can avoid a lot of that by becoming a little bit more present, coming into ourselves and kind of figuring out what's within us and using that power to create more of our happiness. And I love what you mentioned, like so many moms out there, I call it just a momitis. When we're kind of doing our thing, we're doing the mom gig. Everyone around us is telling us to appreciate it because it's going to go by fast. And we're just living it like, I'm so tired. I don't know what my name is. Right. And it's hard to break out of that once you're kind of in that cycle, because our brains are wired to, when we're in survival mode, to keep us safe. Right. And protects us at all costs of thinking too far outside of the familiar and safe zone. So tell me a little bit more about what led to you, overcoming some of that. Like, what shifted for you that allowed you to change that perspective?
Oh, what shifted for me? It's not really a shift. I've always been a person who's committed to my future. And I think what really forced me to really go back is I could see the way I was going wasn't going to work. My body and my mind wasn't going to let me get there. So I had to reshift and said, okay, let's reconnect to myself and really pay attention to the voice that had been nagging me for so many years, and remove the layers and layers of toxins that had built up from all the stress. If anybody who's ever had an autoimmune disease, there's heart palpitations, nausea. And the thing is, excessive sweating. That's just the body releasing all the stress out. And I do Taekwondo and I'm a black belt, first degree black belt, and haven't done it for a
Amazing.
while. I only did it I did it because it's a great way to spend time with the family,
Yeah.
an activity to do it together.
Yeah.
But just a little bit of physical activity. I was creating pools of water underneath my feet. And it was just so embarrassing, but it was just, my body says you have a lot to excrete out. So
Yeah.
I think my biggest thing is to just stay with the commitment, because I know life can just knock us down and we have only one life to live.
Yeah. And actually having awareness allows us to shift our perspective and really put the focus where we want to. So tell me, what does commitment look like or feel like to you?
Commitment, it feels like a strength, a superpower. I mean, in terms of like commitment, there's always obstacles no matter what we encounter in lives. But staying commitment allows me to really think, okay, I'm going to get it done no matter what. So if I know, like for instance, when I went to university, I couldn't qualify for a student loan because my mother and my stepfather made too much. Yeah, they didn't have any money to give me.
Yep.
So my commitment was, I'm going to get a degree no matter what. And so, yeah, I made sure. And I didn't have any debt when I graduated. And that commitment was actually one of the reasons why I did a really well financially in my career.
Yeah. And I think shifting out of I can't or I don't know how to do it to how can I do it? How can I make it happen? Makes a huge difference as well. And that gives you the ability to follow through on the commitment. What would you say to someone who said they were going to do something, but their heart's no longer in it though? Should they keep going? Like, I think this is something that people struggle with too. And maybe it's external expectations or internal expectations, taking on something that maybe we thought was the right direction for us, but at the same time, we almost need to allow ourselves that space to adjust course too, right?
Yeah. Well, they got to listen to their heart. I mean, if they made a verbal or written commitment to someone, I truly believe in honoring it. However, I also think, hey, if it's not working for you, maybe do something different. Maybe renegotiate with the person you've made commitment to. But I think the biggest commitment, the most important one, is the commitment to yourself.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So how do you walk your talk? How do you walk out that commitment? Like, what practical steps do you employ to make that happen?
Well, I mean, like all of us, we all have some kind of fear, and commitment appears in so many ways. And sometimes, like for me, I'm a shy introvert, and I'm glad I became a computer consultant. You can be shy and do really well as a
Yeah,
computer consultant,
it's not a
a
bad
corporate
thing,
trainer.
right?
When I was an online coach, I have to be visible.
Yeah.
And I had forced myself to be visible, but I didn't know I was hiding. So I really think behind my tech experience, people didn't know who I was. They just knew I was teaching them tech, how to create an organic funnel, how to create an emailing system, how to use Canva and all that stuff. They didn't know who I was and know what I actually did. So I really truly believe commitment is about just taking the leap forward. And even though it's disguised, like the way I had done it, it's just taking the step anyways, no matter how small it is. I think of like commitment is almost like a snail, for instance.
Yeah.
A snail it's perfect as it is. It has everything it needs, even has a home on its back.
Yeah.
And when it moves, it always leaves a trail. So as long as we are committed to ourselves, even if we take little movements, we always leave a trail.
Yeah. I love that. And actually, a lot of us feel we get into these places of maybe not feeling good enough, or we're placing our happiness out somewhere into the future. When this happens, I will be happy. We're waiting for something to happen in order to be happy. But a simple perspective shift is to simply look back at that trail and see, wait a minute, where have I come from? Because that progress is something that we can be proud of right now, instead of displacing that and waiting for circumstances to change, improve, shift for something else to happen. We can claim that happiness. We can claim that's our internal power, really, to claim that happiness by looking back and saying, like, holy smokes, like, sure, I'm not exactly where I would like to be eventually, but it's about the journey. And look how fucking far I have come already. And that is worth celebrating.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that's so true.
yeah. So tell me about Mommen and business and all of these things and how they sort of fit together for you. How do you manage to balance mom life and mompreneur life while maintaining your sanity?
Oh, that's a really, really good question. I have to be honest. I'm one of those person who I have it easier than most moms, where me and my husband, we have strategized. Strategy is my thing because I'm also a math major as well, so strategy plays along. Um, I'm really good as a contract negotiator because I worked for so many companies, negotiated so many contracts that I've actually negotiated for my husband's compensation at his work. So he's done really well. And I'm able to balance it because I don't have the financial pressure that a lot of moms do or single moms do. But I do appreciate the stuff that I do have, that I can do things at my own pace. And yeah, and now like I'm getting like clients left and right, no matter, like it's just and so I can pick and choose. I'm like, I don't think I can work with you because whatever, I don't have the time commitment. Or so I think no matter where we are, I think appreciation is super, super important. Um, for me, to help me get through where I am to be the stage that I am in my business, where my business is blossoming. I've taken, it's taken me a few years to get me here where I am. I really appreciate the relationships I have, the special friend where I call her and I say, I need to talk to you. And I know that no matter what mistakes I've done, no matter how messy it is, she'll say, I'll listen to you and let's figure this out. And of course, my husband, who is standing by me to watch all these transitions that I've gone through. So, but I've had financial issues when I was growing up because, I was one of those kids who took on the financial burden of the family. And I remember so clearly when I was 9 years old, I wanted to play the clarinet as part of music class. You either can take music class that does instruments or one that does singing. And I had to take the singing class because the cost of a clarinet was $350. And I told my stepfather I didn't want it after all because I could hear his voice sink. And when he heard the cost, and I just couldn't go through with it. And it's also the moment when I said I was never going to let money be in the way of anything of what I can or cannot do because I was so tired of it. I don't want to be in that situation because, I think I went off tangent.
That's okay. Tangents are fine. We're here. It's real life. We're real conversation. I think a few important things that you touched on, support and surrounding yourself with people who are going to lift you up is crucial in order to reach success. And gratitude, super important as far as being grateful. It's kind of like ties to what I was mentioning earlier about being appreciative of that trail, looking back and saying like, holy smokes, this is how far I've come, but also looking for the joy and the gratitude and even the mundane things as you're going through each and every single day. There is so much to be grateful for. Number one, if you woke up this morning, you have much to be grateful for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then as well, that kind of ties into, also touched on like forgiveness and letting go and curiosity, all of these sort of components to bringing it all together so that you can move forward as a full, whole, healthy human. Now, in order to do that, there are all these sort of pieces of self-care, if you will, or I like to call it soul care of the gratitude, right? Giving your soul the love and attention, giving yourself compassion for, I don't think anything is truly a failure if you look at it as an opportunity for growth and learning. So there's just always new information, new things to learn and take forward. But what does self-care or soul care in your world look like? How do you take care of you? What do you do to stay grounded and centered and focused on moving forward in the best, most balanced possible way?
Oh, right now is I really focus on sleep, making sure I get enough sleep. Um, I'm actually, just from sleeping, I am at my high school weight.
Sleep is so important. People think it's a waste of time or that they're
No.
lazy for getting a good sleep. Like there's a lot of, see, circling back to curiosity, why do we have these misconceptions where, we're attaching a lot of meaning to things, but actually sleep is so crucial to our brain function, to our overall health, to our general well-being altogether, and our productivity suffers if we're not sleeping enough. So we have this idea that, we're just going to sleep less and take back more time. And as moms, we have a tendency to stay up too late at night, to reclaim me time. And we think it's self-care that we're staying up until all hours because we're going to watch Netflix and just have some quiet time for us. But it keeps us on a cycle of always being behind and perpetuates the whole thing.
Right. Yeah. Another self-care I do is I go on massages. So I do it once a month with my husband. And then I have a friend that I do massages. So I get 2 massages a month.
I
And I don't know what it is about massages. It makes me like go on a high. I'm just like, ooh, like loopy. You can ask me for like 6% tip. And I'm like, okay, here you go.
It's so good, right? There's something about like physical touch with zero expectations aside from your healing that is just so enjoyable. I think I'm going to put this on my like wealthy woman bucket list is like daily massages or like daily foot rubs or like, I don't know, just some kind of slight pampering. I don't know. Wouldn't it be amazing to have a massage every morning before you kick off your day? Like,
oh yeah, that would be so delightful. It's much better than I think. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
yeah.
I just never thought of that way. Start off on a high.
Right. Why not? Right. Why not put everything into play to start your day feeling like $1,000,000? And I guess not massage might not be for everyone, but like, I agree with you. There is just like, it's so relaxing and comforting that there's just, it's like a release almost of the tension from your body. And that feels good.
I don't know. There's something about the muscle just like loosening it up. And it's just, it does feel so good. I don't know.
Yeah. Like it's just like your shoulders go from here to here and just everything feels so much lighter. It's such an amazing feeling. I would love for you to share with me. I'm going to just bring it back to the speaking for a minute. I would love for you to share with me, what do you think is the most important strength or personality trait that someone needs to do in order to really find and use their voice to make an impact?
The greatest strength, you ask?
Yeah.
You know what came up in my mind? Spiciness.
What does that mean for you? Tell me more.
I think a major impact is willing to try new things, be excited to try new things, and to see what is behind the other side. So that's spiciness.
I love that definition. I think it's sort of a combination of vulnerable and passionate kind of meshed together to say, I know this might be a bit uncomfortable, a bit scary, but like there's something to it that just needs to be just shared with the world. And I know listeners out there have something that they're passionate about sharing or telling or helping people with, or something that they're passionate to change in the world. And this ability to find their voice, push through what maybe at first is a bit of discomfort. That's that fear keeping us safe, keeping us in our comfort zone, right? But if we feel actually excitement and passion towards the outcome or the impact, we can just, work with that fear, reframe it, because fear and excitement feel the same in our bodies. And if we know this is going to make the impact that we feel so excited in our hearts to make, we can just harness that energy instead of letting fear, instead of labeling it as fear and keeping us stuck. We can actually just use that powerful energy to make that a powerful message with all that excited energy behind it. Like, that's exactly what this show is all about. So thanks for bringing that up. I love that.
Yeah. And I also think about it, like when I think of spiciness, is like, yes, there's an element of failure and fear, but at the same time, what's on the other side? What's going to happen going forward? And so, you can, that feeling where it flutters in the heart, and you're also sweaty because you're so nervous.
Yeah. I relate to that for sure. And, I've had a few things where I'm like, oh, I know this is like the next right step for me, but like my brain is telling me like, whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you sure this is the right step? And I have to have like almost a conversation with myself and be like, well, wait a minute. No, I'm pretty sure that this is just my mind playing a trick on me, if you will, to keep me safe, where I know that this is the right thing because it feels exciting and expansive and like my whole life's mission. But I just can't get stuck in that like sort of fear spot. I need to just lean into it because what is on the other side is really easy, because our brains tend to like remind us of all the things that could go wrong, all the possibilities. Oh my gosh, all the worst case scenarios. But we need to really almost train our brain to think away from that, to break out of those patterns of thinking about what could go wrong and really lean into beyond possibility that we think is possible for ourselves, but realize our true limitless nature of things that we haven't even thought possible that could happen, right? Really expanding and thinking a little bit more outside the box. I love that.
And it's those great people who think outside of the box that have made major improvement in human lives.
Yeah. I mean, things don't change if we just stay kind of stuck in these same patterns and doing the same things. That's not really a way that things are going to change. Maybe very slowly, right? But we want to have massive impact and have our voices heard. We've got to think a little bit outside of that comfort zone and think about things that maybe we haven't even thought possible for ourselves before, right? So that's really exciting. I'd love to hear what you are most passionately working on right now. What projects have you got on the go? What would you like to share with the audience that's coming up for you?
What I'm most passionate about right now is to help entrepreneurs, especially change leaders, to really showcase their outstanding product or services with a large audience. And so I have created a summit called Thrive in Business and Prosper in Life. And it takes across 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And day one is about just business strategies, because, what works for other people might not work for you. So you can have a menu choice of, hey, how do I want to show up in the world? Do I want to be on news, be on CBS or NBC or ABC or Fox? Or do you want to do stages like events? Yeah. Or you want to also, how do you bring out a message that's true to ourselves? Because, I've had quite a number of business coaches, and it didn't work for me. It worked for them, it worked for their clients. It didn't work for me because it wasn't aligned with me. Yeah. And when I'm doing something that's not aligned to me, I feel it in my body. I don't know. And then I have to work about removing the toxins out of my body. And so I just can't go do cold, direct messaging at all. It just,
me neither.
I just can't not do it. This is a strategy I cannot, I've tried, and it comes across the wrong way on the other side. Anyways, they just can read my anxiety. And then day two is about you. dealing with our health and wellness and making sure, because the core of our business is us. And so we deal with how do you deal with ourselves so we can show up in the way that we want and how our clients want us to show up. And day 3 is about relationship with others, relationship with ourselves, and relationship with finance. And finance is one of the things I really want to point out when it comes to finance is that we live here in the States, in San Diego, in a multi-million-dollar home, and we can pay off our mortgage. Like, we've had this home for 3 years and we can pay it off. However, we choose not to because we don't know what's going to come tomorrow. To live a multi-million-dollar life, you don't need to have a multi-million-dollar income. It takes baby steps and it just snowballs. And let me show you an example. This is when I was a stay-at-home mom as well. And my husband and I decided, hey, he's going to contribute maximum to his retirement. I think it was $11,500. He did that every single year. And by year 4, we looked at his account and he had $100,000. I'm like, how does that work? Didn't it make sense? Just little baby steps, build on each other. Yeah. And always dream, no matter where you are in terms of finances, it'll get there if you are willing to dream and be committed to it.
Yeah. So. I love that. And I'm super excited to speak at the next summit. And I actually think like all of those topics go so well together. Obviously, my show is about life, relationship, and business because I think they are completely intertwined. So the health part, the relationship part, the business part, if they are not in alignment, you can't there's no such thing as perfect balance, of course, but keeping things sort of in alignment means that you're not like focusing too much on one at a detriment to another, at least not for an extended period of time, right? So keeping things sort of moving along and all kind of in balance so that nothing is taking too much energy away from everything else. And I think that our business, when you're an entrepreneur, especially as a change maker, in the world, seeking to create impact, our business is us. It is our voice. It is our message. And if we don't have the healthy stuff on the back end, our health, our mental health, our physical health, our relationship health, our confidence, all of these things sort of like ducks in a row, it's going to be hard to build a business that is both sustainable for the long term and successful. It's kind of, if the things aren't in line, you might have successful short term, and then you'll end up in burnout. Or you might have something that feels sustainable, but you're not having the success that you want. And so it's important to have all of these things come together. And I definitely coach from that whole perspective when I work with my entrepreneur type clients or change maker clients to develop their message, to make sure that it's not just a strategy. It's a strategy that feels really great to them. It's a message that feels really great to them, and all for the purpose of creating that impact they want to create at the end of the day. So bringing that all together, I'm super excited and super pumped.
Yeah, me too. I also want to point out the reason I created the summit with 12 other speakers is that we are leading on each other's support, help each other really grow our audience, and really help pick each other up. The reasons why I did so well in my other entrepreneurship is I had people to cheer for me. Yeah. I could not, for somebody who had just graduated from university, to become a player in the semiconductor world is difficult. I couldn't do it with other people's help, and I couldn't do it in real estate without support. Yeah. As well. And I'm bringing that level support in a group where we help each other really showcase what our magic super sauce is.
Yeah. And I think in collaboration gives us such a wonderful opportunity to bring different gifts together. So instead of one person attempting to thrive and do all of the things, when we come together and collaborate, we can each bring our unique special sauce to the table, and we can create co-create, if you will,
Mhm.
something so much bigger, so much greater, and so much more impactful, because we're not wasting our energy trying to do things that we think we should be able to do, or things that
Mhm.
we just aren't that good at. And that's okay, because we're not good at all the things, but other people are. And so when we
Yeah.
collaborate and come together, we can piece together all of the puzzle and create
Mhm.
something truly spectacular. So where
Yeah.
can people find you online and find out about the show, the
Well,
summit?
I can be reached at on Facebook. So it's Mieu, so Mieu, and my last name is Phan. So I am the only Mieu fan. So I would have, going through my feed, there'll probably be pinned up in my first feed about the workshop. And then you can always reach out to Christy. Who would
And
have it like a-
we'll have some links in the show notes too for the
Oh,
listeners,
okay, great.
so they can find you directly. So we will make sure that they find us. I'm sure I will also be talking about the summit too. Like I said, I'm excited to be part of that as well this go around. So we'll definitely be sharing about that. All right. I'd like to wrap us up with one final question. I would love for you, Miu, to share with us one practical tip of how our listeners can create a little bit more happiness in their life today.
Oh, gosh. I would say no matter how stressful or how crazy things are, take a moment and just breathe.
Love that. Brings us into the present moment, right?
Yeah.
Takes us away from the anxious future,
Mhm.
worry and fear, takes us out of, regurgitating
Mhm.
past thoughts, and really just centers us in the moment. Such a beautiful place to be. It's actually the only moment we truly have is
I
right
know. It never comes
now.
again.
And we waste far too much of that beautiful now worrying
Mhm.
about things that are outside of this moment. So I love that.
Right.
Nice deep breaths really help to ground us and bring us back to
For
the
sure.
now.
Well, thank
Beautiful.
you for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much for being on the show. It's been an absolute blast, and I absolutely can't wait for the
Mhm.
summit. Details will be in the link below.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to today's show. I trust you were inspired to take back your power and create your happy. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share the show with women in your life who could use a little extra inspiration today. If you'd like to connect with myself and/or today's guest, you can find those details in the show notes. We would love to hear from you. If you've got an inspiring story to share, you can also apply to be a guest on the show at createyourhappy.ca. As always, get out there, have fun, be you, and create your happy.